Chapter 511, Challenging the Third Grade. Once Tang Wuling left the battle hall and returned to his busy life, he strived to learn and grow as fast as possible alongside his classmates in the first grade. Although it was Wu Zhangkong's first time teaching at Shrek Academy, Shen Yi had left all teaching responsibilities to him. The students were much more diligent compared to when she had led the class, so she needn't get involved. Watching their growth though the days brought a smile to her lips. The teams of Tang Wuling and the Rankers led their class in terms of growth. With their current pace, it was very possible that they would make it into the inner court. Half of the academic year passed by in the blink of an eye. Tang Wuling, come to my office after class, Wu Zhangkong said one day at the end of lecture. Yes, teacher Wu. In the past several months, Tang Wuling had grown a few centimeters and now stood nearly 1.8 meters tall. His face had shed much of its baby fat, revealing handsome and sharp features that further accentuated his large, clear eyes and high-bridged nose. He was already more charming than the Ice Prince Wu Zhangkong. If not for his immature age, Tang Wuling would have been the focus of affection for just as many ladies as Wu Zhangkong. Among those the same age as him, however, he was a prince. Any idea what teacher Wu wants you for? She asked, elbowing Tang Wuling. Tang Wuling shrugged as he put away his textbooks. No clue. I'll see soon enough, I guess. Well, catch you later. When Tang Wuling arrived at the office, Wu Zhangkong looked up from his desk and beckoned Tang Wuling over. Here, take this, Wu Zhangkong said, a hand with a silver card outstretched toward Tang Wuling. A silver card. Teacher Wu, what's this for? Your mecha has been approved. Stick this into the slot in your mecha. It'll show up when you get scanned at checkpoints and they will let you through. Now you can fly anywhere on the continent. Yes. Tang Wuling grinned. His mecha had been finished months earlier, but bureaucratic red tape dragged out the process of issuing his legal permit. An incredible hassle. Despite having Wu Zhangkong's referral and his own heroic deeds in Heaven Dou City, Tang Wuling had waited months for his legal permit to be approved. Thank you, Teacher Wu. Don't thank me just yet. There's something else I wanted to talk to you about. I remember in the beginning of the year you said you wanted to challenge the third grade. I asked Elder Kai for approval and she did. You can begin preparing now, but it won't just be the first grade challenging the third. You'll be teaming up with the second grade for the match. What's the format of the competition then? Tang Wuling asked. 3 1-on-1 battles, 1 2-on-2 battle, and a final match between 7-man teams. You'll combine forces with Wu Situo's team for the competition. The second graders will send some people as well. This competition will be used as your annual assessment and will influence your end of semester exams. Tang Wuling forced back a gasp. The competition format was the most traditional one there was. Does the second grade know yet? They should be notified today as well, Wu Zhangkong answered. You can go discuss who will be participating with Yuanen later. Choosing is going to be hard. Both our classes have more than enough people to fill in for all the battles. How are we supposed to choose? Tang Wuling said, furrowing his brow. It doesn't matter to me, Wu Zhangkong said, his face a stone mask. Decide it yourselves. Strength will speak for itself. Got it. I'll handle it. For a competition like this, the larger the pool of potential participants, the better. This way, they could be more selective and choose the best of the best. Tang Wuling left the office and returned to the working student dormitory, heading straight for Yuan and Yui's room. He knocked on the door. After a few seconds without answer, he concluded she had yet to return. I guess I'll have to wait until she's back. He returned to his own room, an unsettling sensation filling him upon entering. He rarely spent time here, always cultivating his nights away in the specialized cultivation spaces. Mornings were spent in class, and afternoons brought him out to a variety of locations for blacksmithing, pilot practice, or combat training. There was simply no need to return. Tang Wuling wasn't the only busy person in his group. The rest of his friends were hustling to grow stronger. They had their own paths of cultivation and could only rely on themselves to walk them. Morning classes marked the only period they spent time in the same location. For that reason, their room was unoccupied except for himself. Tang Wuling lay in his bed and enjoyed the silence and calm. Relaxation was a luxury nowadays. He did his best to enjoy these moments when he could, mindful of Wu Zhangkong's warning not to overwork himself and burn out. Before he realized it, he fell asleep. It was a deep slumber without any dreams to disturb it. When Tang Wuling woke up, he felt refreshed, a warm, cozy feeling enveloping him. That was great. He stretched and uncurled his body in bed. So what if his schedule had gone awry? He surely didn't mind at this point. This afternoon he had planned to forge enough metals to ensure Yizinglin has an ample supply, so that it wouldn't matter if she failed a few while crafting the battle armor pieces. With her current success rate, Yizinglin averaged about 10 days per piece. She was currently equipped with 3 pieces herself, the most out of any of them. Right gauntlet, right pauldron, and circlet. Yizinglin's battle armor was prioritized as each piece increased her crafting success rate. Before making her third piece of armor, it had taken her an average of 15 days per armor piece. Now she focused on crafting everyone else's right gauntlets. Tang Wuling had no idea how much battle armor Yuan and Yui or Yue Tenyu had, but he was certain that Yuan and Yui was at least a match for Yizinglin as a mecha maker. Rolling off of bed, he set his mind back to work. The nap had washed away his mental fatigue, and he was raring to go. I should take naps more often. My head feels so clear. The room was still empty aside from him. Shu Lizzie and Shishi had yet to return. Glancing back once at the unoccupied room, Tang Wuling left to find Yuan and Yui. The moment he stepped outside, he was astonished to find the sky already dark, the lights of Yuan and Yui's room a glowing beacon in the night. He knocked on her door. Who is it? Yuan and Yui called out from inside. It's me, Tang Wuling. The door opened swiftly and Yuan and Yui greeted him, dressed in her comfortable female clothing. You sure are a busy person. I rarely see you around, she said, a teasing smile on her lips. Tang Wuling smiled back wryly. Aren't we all? None of us has got in time to spare with all this pressure on our shoulders. Yeah. Well, come on in. She pulled the door open wide and ushered him into her room. You're here about the competition with the third grade, right? Yuan and Yui asked. Yep. Tang Wuling's expression grew severe. Have you decided who will participate yet? Isn't that what I'm here to discuss with you? Tang Wuling said, crossing his arms. How are things on your side? We got 3 singles, 1 duo, and 1 7-man team battle. Which ones did you want to send your people out for? Wuling, this competition should have been between the second grade and third grade originally. Shrek doesn't usually have grades challenging anything higher than the next grade. The age gap is just too significant at that point, and there's not much to gain either. But you guys are lost to us. Tang Wuling said with brutal honesty, though blinking with an undeniable pureness. Yuan and Yui snorted. One of these days, I'm gonna beat that pretty face of yours into a pulp. Tang Wuling fought to suppress his laughter but couldn't in the end. All right. Enough probing. Let's just get straight to the point. We'll be honest about who we can send up and how strong they are, okay? Tell me who you're considering and we'll discuss if they're good enough. Fine. Since this competition should have been ours to begin with, I want 2 of the singles battles, the doubles battles, and 4 people in the final team battle. You'll get the remaining 3 in 1 singles battle. Tang Wuling quirked the brow. Wow. Now that's just bad faith. If you're gonna be like that, I'll go complain to the teachers and challenge the third grade without you guys. This is a competition, so we need to do what is the highest chance of victory. Do you really think you can win with your current proposal? Yuan and Yui sneered. And do you think you can win with your team? I'll be straight with you. We understand the third grade far better than you do. They have 2 one-word battle armor masters. Do I need to say any more? Tang Wuling's eyes went wide. They already have 2 one-word battle armor masters? Damn. This isn't good. He had experienced firsthand the might of a one-word battle armor master. Facing 2 would be near impossible. So you can win with your class? With stunning indifference, Yuan and Yui said. At the very least, we would be able to last longer than yours. Let strength speak for itself then. We'll choose the participants through matches. The winners will get to fight the third grade. Chapter 512. I'll give up. Yuan and Yui's expression grew strained. Tang Wuling struck her right in her weak spot. Full of talented students the second grade might be, they couldn't hold a candle to the first grade. After witnessing the complete beatdown Tang Wuling's team served on a platter to Wu Situo's, her confidence in victory faltered. Tang Wuling's growth, a speeding bullet. Taking her silence as an opening, Tang Wuling said, here's what I propose then. For the best chance of victory, we'll have you, Yizinglin, and Wu Situo participate in the singles battles. Yu Yue and I will take care of the doubles battle since we have the best teamwork and a soul fusion skill. I'm sure you have no complaints about that. For the team battle, we'll send out 5 people. Me, Dou Yue, Yingling, Xi, and Xu Xiaoan. From the second grade, we'll want you and Yue's Hengyu. This plan should maximize our odds of victory. In summary, we'll handle 2 of the singles battles, the doubles battle, and the team battle will have 5 from my class and 2 from yours. Impossible. Yuanen Yue blurted. You've got to be joking with me. If I accept these terms, how would I even explain it to the rest of my class? Tang Wuling looked her right in the eyes. Yuanen, honestly, we're stronger than you guys. His gaze held an undeniable power. Taking a deep breath, Yuanen Yue spent a few moments to collect her thoughts. Fine. I'll admit that you guys are stronger, but can you really say your intentions are completely pure when it comes to this plan? That there isn't a hint of selfishness involved? I understand most of your choices, but why Xi over Duo? She's stronger than him, and he still only has 3 rings. In what scenario could he possibly be more useful? Tang Wuling blinked a few times, taken aback. He had not expected her to be so against Xi. His brows furrowed, a frown taking place. Why can't he match her? He has twin martial souls too. Did you forget about that? He's also my comrade, so our coordination will be better. Yuanen Yue pressed her lips together tight. I'll think about it. Right at that moment, the door burst open and an ashen-faced Xi walked in. I'll give up my spot, he said, sharp and cold. Without another word, he turned and ran off. Xi. Tang Wuling chased after him. Meanwhile, Yuanen Yue watched them depart, frozen in spot. He heard what I said. Did I hurt his feelings? She clenched her fists. Why did I have to say that? When Yuanen Yue surfaced from her thoughts, she found herself pacing, struggling to come to a decision. In the end, she suppressed her anxiety and went to present Tang Wuling's plan to the rest of her class, which they discussed and came to a consensus on. Tang Wuling caught up to Xi, grabbing his shoulder just as they left dormitory grounds. Xi stopped, turning to face Tang Wuling with cold indifference. Wuling, I'm fine. Just give me some time to calm down. Tang Wuling threw his arms around him. Don't let her words get to you. We all recognize your efforts. You're our comrade and we believe in you. If anyone questions your strength, then we'll show them their error with our might. You're a great agility type. Never forget that. Xi's stiff expression finally softened when he saw the sincerity in Tang Wuling's eyes. Pacing around, he heaved a sigh and let out a shout as he punched a tree. I just don't get it. Why does she treat me like that? Like I'm the bottom of the barrel. I've been working myself to death every day cultivating and rising early to do chores for her. Anything she needs help with, I'm there. Yet she won't even spare me a minute. I'm not upset that she called me weak. I'm upset that that's all I am to her. Or, geez. Forget about it. He sucked in deep breaths and expelled them just as hard, huffing like a wounded beast. Tang Wuling approached him. It's up to you to decide what to do, but my advice is to persevere. As long as you can press on forward, you'll win in the end. If you throw in the towel now, who's to say the next girl you chase won't give you trouble too? I can't say I have much experience with relationships, but in my opinion, if you like a girl, then you can't give up so easily. Don't worry about whether they like you or not first. What matters is that you like them, and from there, do your best so that they'll like you back. She directed a dejected look Tang Wuling's way. Boss, you know how to talk, but like you've said, you've got no experience with this. You already have Dou Yue on one arm and Nair on the other. When have you ever had to use your own advice? Tang Wuling lightly chopped Xi on the head. If you got time to think about these things, then spend that time on cultivating instead. The clock is ticking. We're about to turn 15. Once we're in the inner court, we can worry about girls all we like. For now, we should be focusing on growing stronger. She cracked a small smile. Study and cultivate properly every day, is it? Tang Wuling returned a grin. A lot of times, the simplest advice is the most meaningful. You get it now. Xi relaxed, his shoulders drooping. You're right. The harder I'm pushed, the harder I need to push back. If someone doubts my strength, then I'll show them just how strong I am. I won't give up. Great. That's a good attitude to have. Xi raised a brow. So you support my way of thinking? Of course. Tang Wuling answered. If I had to use one word to describe you, it would be brazen. Xi stared at Tang Wuling, lips mouthing out words that would not come out. All right now, I'm going to go cultivate at the specialized cultivation spaces. You coming? Xi shook his head. No, I'm fine. My cultivation speed isn't slow since I've got twin martial souls. Oh right, did I tell you yet? I just hit rank 40. Tang Wuling went rigid. Really? Tang Wuling knew that Dou Yue and Xu Lizhi were close to rank 40, but he hadn't expected Xi to suddenly reach that rank too. Only he and Xu Xiaoan out of their group were a ways off from their 4th ring. This left him feeling sullen. Hee. Don't we have a match with the 3rd grade coming up? We're even stronger now. Since Xi already had 2 spirit souls, there was no need to get another one for his 4th soul ring. He had immediately obtained his new soul ring when he broke through. Tang Wuling flashed a thumbs up. Nice. Looks like I need to work even harder. Later in the evening, Tang Wuling and Yuanen Yue met up to finalize the matter of the competition against the 3rd grade. She explained the opinions of her classmates and teachers before informing him that the 2nd grade class rejected his proposal. Let's have a selection competition. No one can complain about the results that way. Strength will speak for itself. Yuanen Yue said. All right. Tang Wuling had absolute faith in his companions. We need to figure out how this competition will run then. Yuanen Yue said. Do you have any issues with my proposed candidates for the singles matches? Yuanen Yue shook her head. No complaints here. But I have to ask, is Yingling stronger than you? It didn't take a second for Tang Wuling to nod. In a one-on-one battle, I only have a 30% chance of winning against her. Astonishment colored Yuanen Yue's face. For Tang Wuling to regard Yingling so highly was something she had never expected. But after recalling the match between their 2 grades, she had to admit that Yingling was powerful. Chapter 513. Challenges. How about the 2-on-2 then? What are your thoughts on that? Tang Wuling asked. We'll settle that with a match too. Yue's Hengyu and I will face you and Dou Yue. Yuanen Yue answered. All right. That's another match to schedule then. All that's left is the team battle. There are 7 slots we need to fill. We have no problems with you, Dou Yue, and Yingling participating. But Xu Xiaoan and Xi, not so much. I'll put forth 2 students from my class and they'll face Xu Xiaoan and Xi in a 2-on-2 battle. Of course, it won't be Yue's Hengyu and I facing them. Whichever side wins will participate in the team battle. Sound good to you? Yeah. Looks like we've come to a conclusion. Tang Wuling's quick agreement unsettled Yuanen Yue. What's got you so confident? He cracked a wry smile. To be honest, apart from you and Yue's Hengyu, no one else in your class is even a match for Duo's team. Just how arrogant can you be? She glared at him. You want to see for yourself? We can organize a match between Duo's team and 5 students from your class, excepting you and Yue's Hengyu. Let's see who wins. Enough with your nonsense. Yuanen Yue stomped off, seething. She wasn't angry at Tang Wuling's arrogance, but the sharp truth to his words. Her class was truly eclipsed by the 1st grade overall. Tang Wuling narrowed his eyes as he watched her leave. This selection competition was a good opportunity for Xi and Xu Xiaoan. It wasn't just the 2nd grade students who doubted the 2, but their own classmates as well. Since there were extra slots for the team battle, there was no way the rankers would be satisfied with not participating. Through the selection tournament, the 2 could prove with their strength that they deserved to be there. 2 days later, they held the selection tournament at the training arena. There were to be 2 matches, both 2-on-2. The first was Xi and Xu Xiaoan against the 2nd grades Stu and Hengxiao and Yingmo. The second was Tang Wuling and Dou Yue versus Yuanen Yue and Yue's Hengyu. Everyone held these matches in high expectation. On one side stood Yingmo and Du and Hengxiao. In the previous battle between the 2 grades, Yingling had suppressed him, but that didn't mean he was weak. The martial soul suppression was just too potent. He was also a control type and had been the first to reach 4 rings in his team, faster than Yuanen Yue. On the other side stood Xi and Xu Xiaoan. Both were commonly deemed as the weakest links of Tang Wuling's team. Neither seemed to have any particular specialty, perhaps besides Xi's willingness to go all in. These matches would decide who stood with the others in the team battle against the 3rd grade. However, everyone knew the 2nd match was the one to watch out for. While Tang Wuling and Dou Yue had weaker cultivations than Yuanen Yue and Yue's Hengyu, the supreme soul fusion skill more than made up for that. No one was sure who would win, but general sentiment favored Tang Wuling and Dou Yue at the moment. To their surprise, Elder Kai had deigned to personally oversee the selection tournament. Students of the 1st and 2nd grades filled the stands, eagerly awaiting the battles to start. After approaching his teammate's side of the arena, Tang Wuling patted Xi and Xu Xiaoan on the shoulder, feeling confident. Yeah, Xi said, determination flashing in his eyes. Xu Xiaoan giggled. I'll be fine as long as he doesn't get in my way. Xi shot her a glare. So even you're looking down on me. I'll show you. I'll show you all just how great I am. Meanwhile, Luo Dixing sat in the audience, turning to Wu Sijuo. Did you ask William why none of us are in this selection competition? Wu Sijuo bit her lip with agitation and forced out a smile. Don't you know what sort of guy he is? He may look kind and gentle, but he's two-faced with a black heart. He told me that if Shishi and Xu Xiaoyan lose this match, then we can jump in to challenge the second grade duo. That guy doesn't play by the rules at all. Luo Dixing wrinkled his nose. Really? Just how shameless can he be? You know, he was super self-righteous when he told me all that. Then he went on to say that since we're younger, the second grade should yield this opportunity to us, and that this isn't shameless at all. Luo Dixing covered his face with his palm. Then what if Shishi and Xu Xiaoyan win? He said that if they do, he wants us to consider if we can bring out any pair that could defeat those two. For example, you and Xu Yucheng. Luo Dixing raised a brow. What did he mean by that? Is he saying Shishi and Xu Xiaoyan are stronger than me and Xu Yucheng? Wu Sijuo crossed her arms. I'm not sure either. What I do know, however, is that William isn't the type of guy to shoot blindly. Luo Dixing frowned. Did they get a giant boost in strength? You remember our match in the start of the year. Did you get the feeling that they were anything special back then? They didn't even use their full strength. How am I supposed to judge them? Well, all we can do is wait and see. Yeah. The selection tournament was free of needless formalities. Elder Kai simply walked up and said, both teams come up. Dou and Hangxiao and Yizing Mo ascended the stage. They were calmer than they had been during the battle between grades. Yizing Mo's gaze in particular carried an edge. Shishi and Xu Xiaoyan ascended next. For some reason, Yuanen Yui felt queasy in her stomach at the sight of them. Ever since the day Shishi ran off in anger, she had been restless. But her pride didn't allow her to admit her mistake. Didn't allow her to apologize to him. She had thought he wouldn't reappear before her after that outburst. But just as in the days before, she woke up to evidence of his presence. A clean swept ground outside and a fresh basin of water. It took her over a minute to process what she saw, to realize the extent of Shishi's earnestness. Since then, her grievances against him had faded. She no longer grew angry at the mere sight of him. Instead, she became aware of the great effort he put into pleasing her. To keep up with her, a person destined to enter the inner court. After this realization, doubt flooded her heart. She wondered why her thoughts kept revolving around him in such a way. He was handsome, Yuanen Yui had to admit. He was just outshined by Tang Wuli most of the time. A hint of envy flickered within her as she watched him ascend the stage with Xu Xiaoyan. They looked like a couple out of a fairy tale. On stage, both sides stared each other down. Elder Kai stepped forward and said, the match will proceed as I see fit. My word will be final in all rulings. Begin. Shishi acted instantly, a breeze trailing behind him as he flew forth. His light dragon dagger was already in his hand, and he was halfway across the arena when everyone finally registered the start of the match. He's fast. The sentiment was shared by everyone in the arena. All of the agility types compared themselves to Shishi, judging whether they could stand a match. It only took a second for them to come to the harsh truth. Shishi left him in the dust. As the representatives of the second grade, Dou and Hangxiao and Yizing Mo wouldn't let a bit of speed shake them. Yizing Mo took a step forward to stand in front of Dou and Hangxiao, brandishing his Star Saint sword. He thrust out to meet Shishi. Just as the two were about to collide, Shishi stopped in place abruptly. No deceleration at all. He raised his dagger high into the air, his aura flaring with power and enlarging his presence. It was only then that everyone got a good look at his soul rings, 2 yellow and 2 purple. In the stands, Wu Sijuo, Luo Dixing, and Xu Yucheng felt their hopes wither slightly. They lost their soul power advantage over Shishi. The only reprieve was that only 3 rings appeared when Xu Xiaoyan summoned her star staff. Chapter 514, Power Bide. Shishi tracked the movement of Yizing Mo's sword, clad in resplendent starlight as it was and piercing straight toward him. He used purple demon eyes in the nick of time, stunning his opponent. In that brief opening, Shishi thrust with his dagger, still firmly rooted to where he stood. Domineering light rippled from him, his dagger shining iridescent like the sun and bathing the entire arena in its light. Yizing Mo narrowed his eyes. Is this Power Bide? Power Bide was not a natural soul skill. Rather, it was a skill developed by humans to defy the heavens. Isn't Power Bide supposed to be lost? How does he know it? In the rear, the distinct trill of a flute. As a control type, Dou and Hangxiao had the abilities needed to counter Power Bide. But before he could do anything to intervene, starlight blossomed beneath him and his body stiffened. The soul power circulation within him forcibly interrupted. Yizing Mo's thrust whistled through the air but struck nothing. Pivoting off his front foot, he recouped his posture and lunged at Shishi once more. He had to stop Shishi from completing his Power Bide. Inches before the sword pierced Shishi, his figure flickered and disappeared. Yizing Mo's eyes went wide as a blur flew past him. Shishi's Power Bide was complete. His dagger roared as he flew forth, so fast that he was merely a streak of light shooting straight for Dou and Hangxiao. Having just broken free from the chains of starlight, Dou and Hangxiao was in no position to defend himself. All he saw was a flash of light when he looked up. With a clang, Dou and Hangxiao's flute was split in two and a line of crimson warmth blossomed from his throat. What happened? Shishi had been no more than a streak of light. A blink and he had drawn blood. From the corner of his eye, Dou and Hangxiao could see the blazing light subside. Elder Kai waved her hand and a beam of light brought Dou and Hangxiao off the stage. There was no doubt that the strongest control type of the second grade had just been eliminated. Shishi had given a brilliant performance of a one-hit knockout. Even Elder Kai couldn't help but give an approving nod. Yuanen Yui looked on in disbelief. She was aware of Dou and Hangxiao's strength, especially in combination with Yizing Mo. Yet Shishi had eliminated him in a flash. She had caught a glimpse of Shishi's eyes and they had shocked her. Nothing like she had ever seen. The conviction swelling within them too hot to endure, sending shivers down her spine. Yizing Mo had turned around just in time to see Dou and Hangxiao disappear and a beam of light and Shishi fade into invisibility. He gripped his sword tight, the blade flaring with light. Now he also has 4 rings. The stellar light bloomed, enveloping the entire stage. Specks of starlight, all carrying a sharp edge, gathered around Yizing Mo. They began to spread, swarming towards Xu Xiaoyan. This was Yizing Mo's 4th soul skill, Sword Star Rain. It was an attack that encompassed a large area and a perfect counter to agility types. His only choice now was to eliminate his opponent's control type to level the playing field. Although threat of elimination sped towards Xu Xiaoyan, Shishi was nowhere to be seen. Like a wraith, he dodged each and every one of the specks of starlight. None so much as grazed him. Meanwhile, Xu Xiaoyan's second soul ring lit up. Starlight reversal, golden light enveloped her, forming a mirror of starlight. The rain of stars froze in midair, heading right back at Yizing Mo. Having evaded Sword Star Rain, Shishi finally reappeared behind Yizing Mo. He slashed with his light dragon dagger, but this strike didn't carry the might of Power Bide. It flew swift and light like a spark. Yizing Mo felt the hairs on his neck spring up and threw himself forward. At the same time, he released a wave of starlight with a slash of his sword in an effort to protect himself. While he managed to narrowly evade Shishi's slash, there was a disturbance in the surrounding starlight as Shishi darted away. His eyes darted back and forth, chasing after Shishi's figure, but Shishi was too fast. Knowing he could not rely on his eyes, Yizing Mo closed them and relied on his other senses. In an instant, the mist of starlight condensed into a point in front of him. A clang. Shishi stood before Yizing Mo, his attack blocked by the condensed starlight. The students of the second grade let out a collective sigh of relief. Agility types excelled in speed, so they were at their weakest the moment they were not in motion. This was Yizing Mo's chance to utilize his strength as an assault type to dominate Shishi. However, their relief was cut short. Yizing Mo was pushed back in his clash with Shishi. They could hardly believe it, an assault type losing to an agility type in a confrontation of strength. Out of his cloak of invisibility, Shishi immediately switched back to his light dragon dagger and went all out. He was no longer an assassin lurking in the shadows, but a radiant sun with scorching light. He charged up for Power Bide once more. Yizing Mo regained his posture. It was clear as day to him that he must stop Shishi from storing more energy. Fear creeped into his heart. His close brush with defeat left him cautious. He drew back and gained distance between them, but just that wouldn't save him. Shishi was using Power Bide. He had to intervene. Preoccupied by the threat Shishi proposed, Yizing Mo forgot one crucial fact. Shishi wasn't alone. Starlight burst beneath Yizing Mo's feet and chains lunged his way to bind him. Shishi took this opening, brandishing his blazing dagger as he flew past Yizing Mo in a streak of light. He didn't bother turning back to see the results. Yizing Mo stood there, paralyzed with fear. A second later, a line of blood dripped down his neck. The battle was over. Xu Xiaoyan grinned at Shishi and the two high-fived. Victory achieved. The second grade students could hardly believe what just happened. Just how strong is the first grade class? Since when was she this powerful? And Xu Xiaoen's control skills too. She completely countered Dou and Hangxiao. Using Mo didn't even stand a chance in the end. Chapter 515, Rematch against Yuan and Yui. Since when was she this strong? And Xu Xiaoen's control skills too. She completely countered Dou and Hangxiao. Using Mo didn't even stand a chance in the end. Without executing any spectacular combos, Xi and Xu Xiaoen bashed their way to an overwhelming victory. When the spectating first grade students finally snapped out of their stupor, they exploded into applause. Only 5 were silent. The rankers. Can you beat him one-on-one? Luo Dixing asked, glancing at Xu Yucheng. I don't know, Xu Yucheng said, his usual arrogance blunted. Yuan and Yui stood dumbstruck among the second grade students. The burning gaze Xi had sent her way before taking down Dou and Hangxiao and using Mo still burned vividly in her mind, scorched on like a brand. Words weren't needed to convey his intention. Am I still not good enough for you? She couldn't deny his growth, his strength. Xi had maintained control of the battle's tempo and displayed a deeper understanding of his martial souls than before. He was incomparable to his past self, with Tang Wuling shining as bright as the sun. Xi and Xu Xiaoen had been hidden in his shadow, but that did not mean they were weak. They stood as equals with the rest of the team, each one of them excellent talents. When did Xu Xiaoen get this strong? Yuan and Yui had never seen Xu Xiaoen use starlight reflection before. No wonder Tang Wuling was so confident. They're stronger than I ever expected. The students of the second grade sported pale faces. The match had finished all too quickly, not even a full minute in length. Dou and Hangxiao didn't even have a chance to use a soul skill. It was an absolute thrashing, utterly shameful for them. Despite their posturing, they were the losers. The second match pitted Tang Wuling and Gu Yue against Yuan and Yui and Yue Sangyu. They ascended the stage after the previous combatants exited. The stands fell into silence once more, everyone watching with bated breath. If the previous match was a contest between the average talent in either grade, then this was a match between the peaks. Yue Sangyu beamed as he met Tang Wuling's eyes. Wulin, there's a little something I wanted to talk with you about. Why don't you chill it with the soul fusion skills today? That would be too unfair. It'll also weaken you. So if you use it, how will you participate in next week's competition? All right. We won't, Tang Wulin answered, leaving Yue Sangyu in momentary disbelief. This wasn't the Tang Wulin he knew. He had expected Tang Wulin to keep the soul fusion skill as an ace up the sleeve, a show of might. That's a promise, all right. Yue Sangyu prodded. Tang Wulin smirked. If you're scared, you should just surrender already. Yue Sangyu raised a brow. You two only got 3 rings each, while we got 4. What do we have to be afraid of? Well, we'll see what you got. Enough trash talking. Elder Kai barked. Begin. Both teams immediately summoned their martial souls. Purple soul rings appeared around Yuan and Yui and Yue Sangyu, 4 each. They basked the 2 in their regal glow. On the other side, 4 purple soul rings rose around Gu Yue, and 3 around Tang Wulin. Yuan and Yui unleashed a roar as her body rapidly swelled with strength. She used her third soul skill, Diamond Titan. Off stage, Xi covered his face with his hands. Damn it. Why is she so damn violent? Tang Wulin rushed forward, each powerful step leaving cracks in the ground. He fore in his blue silver brass through his golden dragon king abilities. 2 golden soul rings appeared around him, the first lighting up. Empowered by golden dragon body, Tang Wulin felt his muscles ripple with strength, his scale gaining more toughness and durability. Yuan and Yui and Tang Wulin were long since familiar with each other's abilities and tendencies. As Tang Wulin slashed at her with his claw, Yuan and Yui punched back a shockwave with their cannon. At the same time, Yue Sangyu spread his holy wings wide and unleashed 2 beams of holy light Tang Wulin. In terms of soul power and rings, Yuan and Yui Sangyu undoubtedly held the advantage. They were certain to have improved their teamwork after a year of training together as well. On the other hand, Yue's full potential relied on Tang Wulin acting as a shield to buy her time. She was the greatest talent in their team, hidden by Tang Wulin's brilliance. In a flash of silver, Tang Wulin disappeared. Yuan and Yue Sangyu's attacks tore through nothing but air. Raising their heads, they caught glimpse of Gu Yue's 4th soul ring shining brightly. She's already using her 4th soul skill. Amidst everyone's astonishment, a 7-colored light spread from her hands, manifesting into a staff. It shone silver, crowned with a lustrous 7-colored gem within which tendrils of light danced. The elements in the arena roared upon its appearance. Her 4th soul skill, elemental staff. Gu Yue gripped the staff tight and raised it. The gem bled green, summoning a tornado to obstruct her opponent's advance. But Yuan and Yui pushed on, unleashing a second blast of air cannon. With a wave of her staff, Gu Yue vanquished the attack. Yuan and Yui felt her connection to the blast dissolve, the air and its momentum breaking down into nothingness. Then the gem on the staff shone gold. Gu Yue conducted it toward Yue Sangyu. In a snap, he felt the light element within him rapidly escape. Seduced to Gu Yue's side. Goddamn, just what sort of ability is that? Tang Wulin held his position, merely standing in front of Gu Yue as her guardian. He was just as shocked as the others. It was his first time seeing her use her 4th soul skill as well. From what he surmised, the elemental staff further boosted her control over the elements to the extent where she could steal control of elements within someone else. Enduring the relentless assault of the tornado, Yuan and Yui let out a snarl as she charged through. Yue Sangyu followed right behind her, taking advantage of her powerful body as a shield. The holy glow around him was subdued as he exerted his control over the light elements within him. Tang Wulin watched with an expectant glint of his eyes. The dragon within him roared, demanding battle. Raising his hands, he unleashed a giant golden phantom dragon. Golden dragon shocks the heavens. Yuan and Yui's 4th soul ring lit up and her body shrunk slightly, but her aura exploded with might. It was the assault of the devil titan. This was the first clash between Tang Wulin and Yuan and Yui since their battle between their grades. A boom rippled through the arena as the phantom dragon and devil titan collided. During the last time, Tang Wulin had been no match for Yuan and Yui's strength, but now he only stumbled a few steps backward instead of being hurled through the air, and the impact sent Yuan and Yui tumbling to the ground instead. At that moment, a blue fireball arced around her, shooting toward Yue Sangyu. With a slash of his holy sword, Yue Sangyu cleaved the fireball in 2, but the flames spread out afterward, leaving him no choice but to retreat from the area. He was now separated from Yuan and Yui. From the very beginning, the battle between the champions of the 1st and 2nd grades had been white hot. Yet the climax had yet been reached. Yuan and Yui leapt into the air, her body rapidly shrinking as she switched to her fallen angel martial soul. Jet black wings unfurled from her back and darkness descended as she summoned the curtain of darkness. Why is she using her fallen angel martial soul? Light and darkness are opposites. Are they not afraid of the danger, or do they have some sort of combo attack? As his mind worked in overdrive, Tang Wulin stood on alert, ready to face whatever they prepared. They couldn't possibly gamble in such a high-stakes game for no apparent reason. Upon using blue silver golden array, Tang Wulin saw his golden rings fade, replaced by shining purple soul rings. A large golden circle of light shone beneath him, so large that it covered the ground upon which Gu Yue stood. Wherever the golden light touched, the darkness fled. Elemental stripping. Chapter 516. Gu Yue's fury. The blue silver golden array stripped its surrounding of light and darkness, but could not completely dispel the darkness in the arena. It could only provide a safe haven for Tang Wulin and Gu Yue. Gu Yue raised her staff. The gem shone bright gold and light exploded around her, rushing towards the array to help push back the encroaching darkness. Yuan and Yui and Yue Sangyu's forms could slowly be seen as the dark haze thinned. Yue Sangyu held a shimmering holy blade by his side while Yuan and Yui's demonic blade exuded a dark auras. Both raised their swords above their heads to pierce the sky. They let out mighty shouts as 5-meter-tall elemental phantoms appeared behind them. Darkness and light shot outward as they snapped open their wings. The 2 auras incompatible like fire and water and struggling to dominate over the other. This was Yuan and Yui's 3rd soul skill. Fallen angel descends and Yue Sangyu's 4th. Holy angel descends. They had used the curtain of darkness to buy themselves enough time to empower themselves to their peak. The 2 turned to face Tang Wulin and slashed down with their swords. Gold and violet beams of light surged out of their swords, flying toward Tang Wulin. As they neared their target, they converged, then met. An explosion erupted with the collision of the 2 beams, their chaotic energies mixing and rejecting each other, kicking up a frenzy of winds and reaching Tang Wulin. This was the result of Yuan and Yui's efforts after losing to Tang Wulin and Gu Yue's soul fusion skill. She had racked her brains to come up with a way to defeat the 2 and ultimately began researching methods with Yue Sangyu. Under normal circumstances, light and darkness reject each other. another. However, their swords were condensed forms of light and darkness respectively. As long as they didn't touch, there was minimal interference between them. With the amplification of fallen angel descends and holy angel descends, their swords reach new heights of power, and when the two unleashed attacks of condensed light and darkness energy, the resulting explosion would produce an attack far greater than they could ever achieve by themselves. Today was the first time they put this combo attack into action. Not even the blue silver golden array could disperse this much elemental energy at once. Their attack was unstoppable. Yuanen Yui's eyes shone with expectation as she watched the explosion of light and darkness bloom. Come on. Use your soul fusion skill. You guys can't endure this any other way. After carefully researching Tang Wuling and Gu Yue's divine dragon transformation, she came to the conclusion that such a powerful form couldn't be maintained for an extended length of time. The earlier she could bait them into using the skill, the more advantageous her position would be. She planned to wait out the divine dragon transformation, then use her and Yue's combo attack again to finish Tang Wuling and Gu Yue off. The longer the battle was drawn out, the better their position. But just before the explosive blast struck Tang Wuling, Yuanen Yui saw his scales shine bright as mirrors. He stepped in front of Gu Yue and spread his arms wide, taking the full brunt of the elemental attack. His scales flashed even brighter as he weathered the storm of elemental energies. Tang Wuling felt as if he was being torn to shreds. The elements of light and darkness clashed and raged bigger and brighter like oil and fire, while Golden Dragon Tyrant body enabled him to endure up to 3 times his body's limit. This elemental explosion surpassed his expectations. Despite his blood essence rapidly depleting, he gritted his teeth and continued to endure. Tang Wuling and Gu Yue had been caught off guard when the twin beams converged, and by the time they realized what was happening, the elements were thrown into chaos and Gu Yue was unable to teleport them out. I have to endure. I can't retreat. Gu Yue is right behind me. Tang Wuling's body groaned with the strain, his eyes going bloodshot from resisting. Light surrounded his right hand and manifested his gauntlet. Then it spread to his chest, which turned into a breastplate. With the power of 2 pieces of battle armor, he could hold on. The chaos of elemental energies gradually died down. The dust settled, revealing Tang Wuling's tattered form. Despite his sorry state, he had not yielded a single inch. There was a fierce glint in his eyes, and he let out a draconic roar. Tang Wuling stepped forward with the oppressive aura of an absolute tyrant. After absorbing the elemental attack, his body was filled with energy. His first golden soul ring lit up as he marched onward. A golden array spread out beneath him, empowered by golden dragon body. It spanned the entire stage and was much stronger than before. Yuanen Yui and Yue Zhenyu felt their elemental energy drain from their body. Soon, they couldn't even support their wings, which disappeared into the background. Blue silver golden array had them utterly helpless. In a silver flash, Gu Yue appeared before them. She slammed the butt of her staff into the ground, unleashing a barrage of fire, water, wind, and earth elements that joined together to form an elemental storm in an instant. The storm crashed into Yuanen Yui and Yue Zhenyu, sending them flying. Yuanen Yui switched martial souls and confronted the storm in her diamond titan form, so she wasn't seriously injured. Yue Zhenyu, however, didn't have a second martial soul to fall back on and took the full brunt of the storm. A beam of light descended on him, and he was beside Elder Kai the next second. Gu Yue's face was emotionless like a calm lake. She simply pointed her staff at Yuanen Yui to direct its full might at her. That wasn't all. Gu Yue kept firing small balls of blue fire, wind, ice, and earth into the storm to increase its strength. Yuanen Yui had nowhere to escape to now. Anywhere she moved, and she would be attacked by the elemental balls. Even if she tried to break out through brute strength, Gu Yue could control this elemental storm with her inhuman spiritual power and make it collapse on her. This was Gu Yue's fury, her wrath. This was her full might unleashed upon those who hurt Tang Wuling. When Gu Yue had teleported to the front line, she had caught a glimpse of Tang Wuling's tattered state, of the pain and blood dripping out a corner of his mouth. The first grade students collectively gulped nervously. They knew the consequences of angering her. The elemental storm bombarded Yuanen Yui with attack after attack, battering her defenses like paper being shredded. Her air cannons were useless against the elemental balls as the intense heat of the blue fireballs distorted the flight path of the air blasts and the wind tore it to shreds. Then the ice deflected the blasts with extreme centripetal velocity, and the earth acted as indestructible impact absorbers. There was nothing she could do but to endure with Diamond Titan. She was completely suppressed. Tang Wuling was caught in astonishment as well. He had known Gu Yue was strong and that he was no match for her, but he hadn't known just how wide the gap between them was until now. Chapter 517, Yuanen Yui and the Tempest. With all 7 elements at her fingertips, Gu Yue's tactical options were limitless. Instinct told Tang Wuling that even with blue silver golden array, he wouldn't be able to do much against her. Another fireball crashed into Yuanen Yui, exploded in a burst. Her expression was grave, betraying the whirlwind of calculations flying through her mind. She used Titan strength and Diamond Titan to take on the elemental storm instead of the more taxing Devil Titan. Screw it. I'll go all in. In truth, Yuanen Yui knew that losing was inevitable. The moment Tang Wuling escaped the light and darkness sword combo attack in one piece had marked the beginning of the end. But she couldn't give up yet, not even when Gu Yue's outburst had been beyond their expectations. She would fight until the very end. If she could outlast Gu Yue's soul power, then she could force a one-on-one duel with Tang Wuling. With the injuries he had sustained, she had the barest sliver of a chance at turning the tables. Yuanen Yui was confident that her soul power capacity was greater than Gu Yue's. Having twin martial souls and a higher soul power rank was the main reason. She was rank 43. Since cultivation became much harder past rank 40, and Gu Yue had just broken through, she couldn't be any higher than rank 41. Yuanen Yui was certain that Gu Yue's repeated use of the staff was rapidly depleting her soul power. One after another, balls of elemental energy slammed into Yuanen Yui. She clenched her jaw and took on dozens of attacks. Yet there seemed to be no stop in sight. How was her soul power lasting so long? Unbelievable. Yuanen Yui's eyes widened more and more the longer she stared at Gu Yue. Elder Kai was already on the stage, waiting for the moment her intervention was needed. She watched with narrowed eyes, aware of the entirety of the situation. It was true that Gu Yue's soul power couldn't outlast Yuanen Yui's, but her martial soul controlled the elements and there was a fundamental difference between it and other martial souls. Wielding the elements required both soul power and spiritual power. In fact, spiritual power was more important for this than soul power. Because of this, Gu Yue's spiritual power was greater than her soul power, and far surpassed Yuanen Yui's. Without this basis of strength, Gu Yue would never have been able to wield such great might for so long. Another fireball crashed into Yuanen Yui. She staggered but held her ground. I can't get pushed back any further or I'll be off the stage. She growled and finally resorted to her 4th soul skill, Devil Titan. It was all or nothing. With a swirling aura of might, she punched an incoming ice ball into smithereens. She sent blast after blast of air to intercept her opponent's attacks. But the moment she had done this, her eyes caught Tang Wuling approaching Gu Yue with a smile. That's enough now, Tang Wuling said, patting Gu Yue on the shoulder. Gu Yue staff dimmed as she stole a glance at him before fixing her gaze on Yuanen Yui again. Without saying a word, she withdrew her attack. Yuanen Yui gasped for breath as the wind settled down around her. Her hands shook and her whole body sagged from taking that assault and sustaining Devil Titan. She locked eyes with Tang Wuling for a moment before jumping off the stage. She knew well enough to admit her loss. There was no chance of victory in a 1 against 2. Tang Wuling was giving her enough face as it was. The first grade students erupted into cheer. If anyone thought the first grade's previous victory over the second grade was due to luck, then today proved them wrong. This was an absolute victory with no room for debate. They had won both of the 2-on-2 matches. The second one was even between the 2 class presidents, and in the end, Yuanen Yui lost. Are you okay? Gu Yue asked Tang Wuling, worried eyes looking him up and down. Tang Wuling shook his head and flashed a smile. I'm fine. That attack hurt a bit, but I'm fine. Thanks to the Golden Dragon King's power, his recovery speed and resilience were far beyond normal. Although the elemental combo attack made him felt as if he had been burned alive, his internal energies were already settled and his wounds already disappearing. There was just some mild discomfort left. Right when Tang Wuling and Gu Yue hopped off the stage, Yue Zhenyu ran over in high spirits. Wuling, what was that flashy skill you used? He had tested the power of his and Yuanen Yui's combo attack countless times and was confident that not even a 5-ring Soul King would come out unscathed. Yet Tang Wuling had took it on alone, and barely wounded at that. The only explanation was that he used a soul skill. Tang Wuling cracked a small smile. You really want to know? Yue Zhenyu nodded. Stay back a grade and I'll tell you, said Tang Wuling. Yue Zhenyu stumbled. Stay back a grade? Wait. If I stay back a grade as a 2nd grade student, wouldn't I be joining the 1st grade class? Hey. We're not even allowed to repeat grades. We just get expelled if our scores are too low. Yue's Heng Yu grumbled, but Tang Wuling and Gu Yue hadn't heard a word of what he said. The cheers had drowned out his voice. The participants for the competition against the third grade was settled. For the one-on-ones, Yuanen Yui, Wu Situo, and Yu Xinglan would participate. Tang Wuling and Gu Yue would tag team for the 2-on-2 match. And for the team battle, the captain was Tang Wuling, vice captain Yuanen Yui, and general members Gu Yue, Xu Shi, Yue's Heng Yu, Xu Shaoan, and Xu Lizzie. The competition was set to happen 5 weeks later. Despite all her training after the first defeat, Yuanen Yui suffered a second today. As a result, she was more motivated than ever. The weight of defeat was heavy on her shoulders. She couldn't let there be a third. Aside from her loss, Yuanen Yui still could not comprehend how Xu Shi had become so strong. She was familiar with Du and Hun Xiao using most strengths and knew they shouldn't have lost so miserably. But Xu Shi and Xu Shaoan had controlled the tempo of battle throughout. Xu Shi's growth was remarkable. Be it speed or lethality, he was incomparable with his old self. The blazing light of his attacks when he went all out even gave her goosebumps. How is he so strong already? How are all of them growing so quickly? If Xu Shi could read Yuanen Yui's mind, his answer would be conviction. He had the conviction to surpass her and win her heart. Meanwhile, Gu Yue sent worried glance at Tang Wuling throughout their walk back to their dormitory. When they reached their rooms, she finally asked, "Are you really okay? Really? I swear I'm fine. Just look at how thick my skin is." Tang Wuling said, poking his arm. "Right. Anyway, we've got a day off tomorrow. Are you going to the spirit pagoda?" "Yeah. I don't have anything else planned but that," Gu Yue said, a small nod. Tang Wuling smiled wryly, scratching the back of his head. "You sure know how to keep a secret. I never thought you would already be this strong. I'm not even a match for you anymore. If you keep at it, the gap is just going to get larger from now on." Gu Yue smirked. "Anxious? I'm worried about how many teeth I'll have left if I ever have to fight you." Gu Yue was caught off guard, astonishment painting her face. There was a flicker of gloom that if Tang Wuling hadn't been paying attention, he would have missed. "What's up?" he asked, his playful tone hardening. Gu Yue shook her head. "It's nothing. Do you have any plans tomorrow?" I think I might go visit Heaven Dou City. I've saved up a lot of alloys these past few months, so it's a good chance to sell them, buy some more raw materials and get some pointers from my uncle master. I'll go with you." Gu Yue blurted out. "Huh? Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's go." Tang Wuling said, his look of surprise transforming into a huge grin. He hadn't had a chance to go out with her since the start of the academic year. They had been too busy with their own cultivation paths. Satisfied, Gu Yue said goodbye and returned to her room. When Tang Wuling entered his room, the reality of the situation finally hit him. He was nervous and full of anticipation for his outing with Gu Yue. Since he had received his mecha license from Wu Zhangkong, the two of them could fly straight to Heaven Dou City. He could be the dashing young man showing her the skies. Chapter 518, a date with Gu Yue. In the evening, Tang Wuling rented out a specialized cultivation space as usual. He sat down cross-legged in the room meditating, attuning himself to nature. A soft blue glow enveloped him as blue silver grass crept from the ground, rising to gently sway in the air. Gold zone slithered out along with the grass, boasting a blue aura as well. It was much larger than before, nearly reaching 1.5 meters. Although its body was still slender, it clearly hid a wealth of power. It was Tang Wuling's only soul skill, the one that had accompanied him until now. As he grew, so did it. It shared in the benefits of the Golden Dragon King's essence. Otherwise it would not have been able to evolve to such an extent. In a sense, it had also inherited some of the Golden Dragon King's bloodline. In the end, soul power and soul rings were secondary to Tang Wuling's growth. What truly mattered was unlocking the full potential of his bloodline. Every seal broken allowed him to harness more of the Golden Dragon King's power, and some of that power leaked into Goldsong. Tang Wuling understood the importance of it all too well, especially after breaking the fourth seal. Apart from Goldsong's physical growth, his bond with it had grown deeper. They could communicate on a more fundamental level now. In addition to empowering a soul master's martial soul, spirit souls could also physically manifest by borrowing their master's soul power to fight alongside them. Goldsong's transformation after the fourth seal was shocking. Not only did the effects of the soul skills it granted increase by half, it also gained a bloodline skill. The effects were exactly the same as Tang Wuling's Golden Dragon body, capable of instantly boosting Goldsong's physical abilities. Moreover, its version of the skill drew upon its own blood essence, and once depleted, it would need to absorb Tang Wuling's energies to recover. His appetite had grown once again after the fourth seal, and part of that was due to Goldsong's increased demand for his blood essence. So it was only natural that Goldsong wrapped its slender length around Tang Wuling, soaking up his soul power and blood essence. It was completely at ease, its head gently leaning against Tang Wuling's thighs. There was no hint of cold-bloodedness from the snake. Goldsong's eyes emanated a gentle warmth as it snuggled up to its parent. Tang Wuling took in a deep breath, his chest rising high. The swaying grass froze. In an instant, they glowed gold like Goldsong. His blue silver grass was evolving under the Golden Dragon King's influence. With each seal broken, they grew thicker, lusher, and more tyrannical. Inheriting the regal air of the Golden Dragon King, Tang Wuling's blue silver grass gained the ability to demand obedience from lesser plant-type martial souls. A king of blue silver grass. After holding that breath for nearly a minute, Tang Wuling finally let it out in one slow exhale. Then he repeated, in and out in accordance with the mysterious heaven method. Not too long after, he opened his eyes and withdrew his blue silver grass. Goldsong slithered up his body, coiling around his neck and rubbing its head on his cheek. Tang Wuling gazed at it warmly, a smile tugging at his lips as he stroked its head. This was the bond between a boy and a snake. You can stay out a bit longer if you want. Goldsong shook its head. It transformed into light that started flowing into Tang Wuling. The golden pattern on his body pulsed with life before disappearing once Goldsong was completely back within him. Tang Wuling couldn't help but smile. He could feel the strength of his bond with Goldsong cementing. Soon, he might be able to summon Goldsong to fight by his side. While this was already within Yuanen Yui and Guyu's power, they benefited more by having the spirit souls empower their other abilities. Two conditions had to be met in order for a soul master to fight alongside their spirit soul. 1. They had to have at least 4 soul rings, which was the threshold for when a spirit soul's intelligence was sufficiently developed for autonomous action. 2. The spirit soul was at least 1000-year level, otherwise it wouldn't be strong enough to participate in combat. An exceptionally intelligent spirit soul, one that the soul master had spent many years bonding with, was akin to having a second body. In fact, this was one of the greatest changes when a soul master advanced into a 4-ringed soul ancestor. A summoned spirit soul increased their combat potential significantly. However, soul masters needed to become a soul king before their spirit souls could truly fight on their own. In order to properly raise a spirit soul, a soul master needed a powerful bloodline, a vast capacity of soul power, and exceptional spiritual power. The last was to nurture the spirit soul's intellect. Tang Wuling undoubtedly ticked off all 3 of these checkboxes. As Tang Wuling took in the nature around him, his eyes twinkled. He pressed his palms together in front of his chest. The air around him warped. Blue silver grass swarmed out like snakes, slithering into every corner of this cultivation space. A golden glow washed over the grass, scales and veins rising to its surface. I don't know how the competition against the 3rd grade will go, but all I can do now is give it my all. Well, I do have some time to drive a mecha to Heaven Dou City. Tang Wuling was filled with expectation. It would be his first time going out in a mecha, and Gu Yue would be accompanying him too. It was pretty much a date. Finishing up cultivating for the day, Tang Wuling left the cultivation space, trained his purple demon eyes, and returned to the working student dormitory. It was still early in the morning, and the moment he walked through the dormitory gates, he caught sight of Shishi sweeping the courtyard. Seeing how earnestly Shishi was working, Tang Wuling's lips curved up in amusement. This guy just doesn't know how to give up. I hope things work out for him. He seems more confident now too. Really have grown a lot. Shishi stopped sweeping once he noticed Tang Wuling. You're back early today. Shouldn't you take today's day off to cultivate more? Well, I'm only back early because I'm going out later to Heaven Dou City. You want me to get you anything? Shishi shook his head as he resumed sweeping the ground. What could I need that I can't get here at Shrek? I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Tang Wuling chuckled. He left for the girls' room and knocked on the door. He was sure that Yu Xinglan and Xu Shaoan were already up since they had cultivated their purple demon eyes with him. The door swung open and Xu Shaoan poked her head out. Huh? Captain, what are you here so early for? Tang Wuling flashed a smile. I'm looking for Gu Yue. Is she up yet? I'm up. Coming. Gu Yue said from within. Xu Shaoan giggled and retreated back inside. A moment later, Gu Yue stepped out the doorway. One word described Tang Wuling precisely. Shocked. Her lush black hair was pulled back into a ponytail, giving her a more energetic look than usual. She wore a spotless white dress fitted to her emerging womanly curves, elegant without excess decorations. She wasn't a world-shaking beauty, but there was a certain charm about her, an air of nobility and grace. Why, you're really pretty today. Tang Wuling stuttered. Gu Yue's face flushed faint red. Have you had breakfast yet? she asked, averting her eyes and desperate to change the topic. Tang Wuling shook his head. Nope. I came to get you first, then we'll go visit the Tang sect. Oh. All right. Gu Yue nodded. Oh. What's that? You guys going on a date? She teased. Go back to sweeping. Gu Yue glared at him. She instantly tucked tail and lowered his head, focusing on his work. Gu Yue had instilled fear into him through countless beatings over the years, and the scene of her wrath from the day before was still fresh in his mind. He didn't dare act too cocky around her. Chapter 519, Tang Wuling's Mecha. After eating breakfast, Tang Wuling called a taxi and soon he and Gu Yue were off to the Tang sect. Mechas were gigantic, much too large to fit in Tang Wuling's current storage ring. In fact, most pilots needed a hangar specifically to house and maintain their mecha. Only the richest, most powerful pilots had spatial storage devices large enough to hold an entire mecha. Considering how much such a storage device would cost, Tang Wuling settled for a hangar. Once the taxi arrived at the Tang sect, the two got out. I just need to go in and pick something up really quick, Tang Wuling said, flashing a smile at Gu Yue. We'll head to Heaven Dou City as soon as I'm done. Okay. I'll wait out here. Gu Yue didn't know what rules the Tang sect had, but she was sure an outsider like her wouldn't be welcome. I'll be back in a jiffy. Tang Wuling explained as he rushed into the grounds of the sect. The gates to the Tang sect were simple. The only decoration adorning its austere appearance was the signboard that hung directly above them. On it were the words Tang sect, and in a small script below that was the name Huo Yuao. Gu Yue she stared at the sign. Huo Yuao was the legendary spirit ice Douluo and founder of the spirit pagoda. She furrowed her brow at the implication of his name being there, but she didn't dwell on it for long. Rather, she couldn't. She woke from her thoughts and turned her gaze up to the sky. She could hear a faint whistling in the air. It grew louder and louder, and soon enough, she saw a mecha flying over. In spite of the distance, she estimated it to be about 10 meters tall. Its body was a bright yellow, a reflection of its grade. It slowed as it approached and eventually came to a stop a dozen meters above the ground, just in front of the door. Then it slowly descended to the ground. The landing was soft, nearly silent. For a hunk of metal like this, that was an unbelievable achievement. The mecha's pilot had superb control over it. Gu Yue took a few steps backward. So the Tang sect as mecha pilots do. As a mecha designer, Gu Yue could immediately tell that the mecha's sleek design facilitated swift, nimble movements. It was a long-range mecha, so its primary weapon was the soul cannon on its back. The cannon itself was just over 6 meters long and was equipped in such a way that it could be readied and fired in an instant. It had a range of 1 kilometer and shot 80mm rounds, each of which could match the power of a soul ancestor. The advent of mechas had displaced soul masters for a time since they gave ordinary people the ability to stand on even ground with soul masters. It was only with the creation of battle armor, the support of spirit souls, and their inherent physical superiority that soul masters were able to retake their throne as rulers of the continent. Even the strongest of ordinary people could generally only pilot mechas up to yellow grade. Soul masters could pilot mechas of purple grade and higher. When the mecha turned to face her, Gu Yue eyed it suspiciously. What's it looking at me for? An electronic voice boomed from the mecha. Hey pretty lady. Wanna go for a ride? Gu Yue's expression darkened and she turned around to leave. She had no doubt that she could take down this yellow-grade mecha. However, she had no choice but to suppress her anger to avoid causing trouble at the Tang sect's doorstep. At that moment, the mecha raised her hand to shut a golden light at her. Gu Yue couldn't believe how brazen the pilot was being, and only then did she decide to take action. The golden light wrapped around her waist, but just as she was about to teleport away, she stopped. The light felt familiar. She looked down at her waist and realized it was actually a golden vine that glowed a faint blue. Gu Yue directed a glare at the mecha, just in time to see Tang Wuling get out of its cockpit. Tang Wuling waved at her, a radiant smile painted on his face, and yanked her over to him. Gu Yue yelped in surprise, and he caught her by the waist and set her down in the co-pilot seat. Pilots operated mechas while standing for the sake of control. All of the interior equipment was firmly attached to the walls and floor of the cockpit. The only seat available, which was located just behind the pilot's operation space, was for the co-pilot. The cockpit was designed like that in case anything happened to the pilot. It enabled the co-pilot to take control of the mecha at a moment's notice. Such a configuration was useful for long-range artillery mechas. It was also handy when it came to transporting civilians. Many rich heirs to prestigious families had their own personal mechas that they used to bring girls on joyrides. Once she sat down in the leather seat and fastened her seat belt, Gu Yue rolled her eyes at Tang Wuling. You came all the way here to borrow a mecha? Tang Wuling snickered. Nope. Not borrowing. This mecha is mine. I commissioned it from the Mecha Association and had the Tang sect keep it for me. I'm kind of afraid of trains now. I always get caught up in something whenever I ride one. And besides, even if trains are cheap, they can't beat a mecha for practicality. Is this why you're taking the mecha piloting class? Gu Yue asked. Well, yes. Tang Wuling scratched his chin and nodded, but I can also use mechas and battle armor at the same time. If I have both, that's even more combat power. Teacher Wu said that the strongest soul masters are both battle armor masters and mecha pilots. That makes sense. And, I always dreamed of becoming a mecha pilot when I was a kid. Since I actually can, I figured I might as well give it a try. Look. This entire mecha is made of 1,000 refined star iron. It's technically yellow grade, but it was made using materials fit for a purple grade mecha. The only difference is that I opted for a weaker circuit core. They're just way too expensive. Aside from the materials, this mecha was made according to the specifications of your typical yellow grade mecha, and it still cost me loads of points. You know. And now you're my first passenger. One of the reasons Tang Wuling had the Tang sect keep his mecha for him was so he could practice piloting in the battle hall during his weekly visits. The training grounds for mechas here were much better than the ones at Shrek Academy too. The equipment they had, the courses and the drills they offered, all of it would allow him to learn advanced skills faster. Thanks to his robust physique, Tang Wuling was already a skilled pilot that could easily execute complex maneuvers. The breastplate of the mecha closed, sealing the cockpit shut. Tang Wuling's hands danced across the dashboard, tapping screens and flicking switches to verify the mecha's status. The Tang sect's maintenance crew was superb and there were no abnormalities in the mecha. Tang Wuling took out the ID card Wu Zhangkong gave him and stuck it into a slot. The mecha's interface beeped, and a few lines of green text appeared at the corner of the main screen. His mecha was now authorized to travel the continent. Chapter 520. Together in the mecha. The Federation had strict laws regarding mechas. They were giant robots capable of mass destruction after all. Without any oversight, a low-grade mecha could easily lay waste to a few neighborhoods and cause countless casualties. As a result, getting a license to pilot a mecha was extremely difficult. Although it wasn't too hard to get a license to pilot a mecha in a single city, getting a continent-wide license like Tang Wuling's was a painstaking process for most. Tang Wuling had been approved through his continent-wide mecha authorization in only a few months because Wu Zhangkong recommended him through Shrek Academy. He also had his status as an honored citizen, as well as Mo Wu's referral. In fact, Tang Wuling's mecha license was worth more than his mecha. Tang Wuling wasn't aware of all that. He simply knew that this card allowed him to travel the entire continent in his mecha. As long as he followed the law, of course. If he caused any trouble, his license would immediately be revoked and his name would be blacklisted. Wu Zhangkong hadn't told Tang Wuling about any of this because he had utmost confidence in his disciple's moral character. Tang Wuling turned around to look at Gu Yue. Let's get going. The cockpit of Tang Wuling's mecha was by no means large. The co-pilot seat was right behind him. Gu Yue was petite, so she didn't take up much space, but that didn't mean it was comfortable. In this enclosed space, Gu Yue's womanly aroma filled the air, making Tang Wuling acutely aware of her. Okay. Gu Yue nodded. The mecha took a step forward, jets of flame spouting out of its back, and an instant later, they were rocketing into the skies. Civilian mechas were limited an altitude of 1,000 meters. Since this included his mecha, Tang Wuling stopped descending once they reached an altitude of 800 meters. The mecha's 3 pairs of wings spread, and its main thrusters spewed flames. A moment later, he and Gu Yue were speeding toward the horizon, headed straight for Heaven Dou City. Tang Wuling's mecha had navigation systems built in, as well as a radar to help avoid collisions with planes. His mecha would show up on other radars as well, and when it did, his identification card would be scanned, thus enabling him to fly through various areas safely. If he tried to fly over a city's airspace without the card, that city's anti-air defenses would immediately try to shoot him down, and a mecha squad would be sent to intercept him. Wow. Flying feels great. Tang Wuling exclaimed. Yue leaned over and took in his smiling face, a small smile forming on hers as well. From the moment he tried to show off his mecha by picking her up, she realized she found his boyish excitement amusing. It was rare for her to see him expressing such pure, childlike joy. She could tell just how much he loved mechas. The mecha settled into leisurely cruising speed as they flew toward Dou City. Cars and trains on the ground were practically motionless because of how fast they were going, and the landscape below became a blur. They experienced a bit of turbulence from time to time, but overall, the ride was a fairly smooth one, a clear testament to Tang Wuling's skill as a pilot. So, Tang Wuling said smugly, glancing back at Yue, aren't I just the coolest? Yue stifled a laugh. How come you didn't tell us you bought a mecha? Tang Wuling sniggered. It's my little secret. If I told everyone, wouldn't that just be flaunting how rich I am? In truth, Tang Wuling really was quite rich. Owning a personal mecha was outside the realm of possibility for ordinary people. Yue raised an eyebrow. Then why did you tell me? Aren't you worried I'll let your secret out? No way, Tang Wuling answered, nonchalantly taking the mecha through a barrel roll. You wouldn't do that. His answer took Yue by surprise. Then her smile slowly widened until it reached up all the way to her eyes. Tang Wuling was fully enjoying the feeling of soaring through the skies. While he did get a chance to fly a mecha during class training, the area he had been allowed to fly in was limited. Flying through the open skies was completely different. It satisfied a craving he never knew he had. He finally understood why so many men dreamed of soaring through the sky. It was a magical experience. Soul trains usually took 2 hours to travel from Shrek City to Dou City. It took Tang Wuling and Yue only 1 hour aboard his mecha. By the time they reached Dou City, it wasn't even noon. After gaining entry to the city, Tang Wuling flew straight for the local blacksmiths association. He had called Zhen Hua beforehand and gotten permission to dock his mecha there. Once his mecha connected with the docking system, it gently landed on the roof of the blacksmiths association. Only then did Tang Wuling let out a breath of relief. His first long-distance flight had gone well. The cockpit opened and Tang Wuling and Yue climbed out. As the two walked toward the elevator, Tang Wuling glanced back at his mecha proudly. He was a mecha pilot now. Right at that moment, something called out to him and he looked over at the other docked mechas that were in the middle of recharging. Beside his yellow mecha were 2 purple mechas and 1 black mecha. The fact that they were Partia meant their pilots were no ordinary people, but they weren't what caught his eye. As his gaze reached the very end of the docking area, Tang Wuling saw a gate to a subspace slowly closing. Before the gate closed completely, he caught a glimpse of a single mecha. The only thing he could really see were its legs. They were painted a deep scarlet. Tang Wuling was thunderstruck. Was that a red grade mecha? White grade mechas were the basic, yellow grade was standard issue, purple grade were high end, and black grade were top notch. Red grade mechas, however, were divinity incarnate. Their pilots had to personally make them, and they needed to be made of the highest quality of forged metals. They would then be bonded to their pilot's blood essence and soul power, linking it to their pilot's life force. Such a mecha would even be compatible with spirit souls, and could be further empowered by fusing with one. The number of red grade mechas that existed on the entire continent could be counted on 2 hands. It was said that there were no limits to how powerful a red grade mecha could be. It was even possible for one to face off with a 3-word battle armor master. However, a soul master needed to at least be an 8-ring soul Douluo to pilot a red grade mecha. The requirements to even make one were even higher. In fact, it was as hard as crafting a full set of 3-word battle armor, and even had some advantages over battle armor. It was generally accepted that battle armors were absolutely superior to mechas. That was only because red grade mechas weren't taken into consideration. Tang Wuling was stunned. He could barely believe he had just laid eyes on a red grade mecha. Its sleek form left him breathless. Right beside him, Yue said, "Is that one of those legendary red grade mechas?" "I think it is." Tang Wuling nodded with excitement. "Let's go. We can ask my uncle master about it. He's got to know something. After that, it'll be time for me to train with him. Once I'm done with that, I'll go sell off some metals and we can go sightseeing. I should be ready to meet up in the evening. Whatever you want to do tonight, I'm game." "Okay," Yue responded. The two took the elevator down to Zhen Hua's office using a special keycard that gave them access to his floor. When the doors opened, Tang Wuling ran out happily and knocked on Zhen Hua's door. "I bet the kid's here," Zhen Hua shouted from the other side of the door. "Come on in." Tang Wuling entered with Yue right behind him. Zhen Hua was sitting at his desk. Someone was seated across from him. "It's you," Tang Wuling exclaimed, instantly recognizing the man as the chef he saw last time he visited. The chef was a rugged man in his 50s. This time he wasn't dressed in a chef's outfit, but a traditional grey robe. The fact that he was casually sitting in the divine blacksmith's office proved he was no ordinary man. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.